Boost will arrive in like 3 to 5 business days, bro. One pothole, that thing's gonna be taken out. Too bad you can't drive it in the rain. It's gonna suck up all the water and kill your engine. Boost will arrive in 3 to 5 business days, right guys? Yeah, I just said that. That's stupid. The extra piping adds so much weight, it's not worth the extra 270 horsepower you get out of it. What's up guys, I'm Caleb. Thanks so much for stopping by, and in this video we're going to be answering all of your burning questions about rear mount turbos. So this is my 2008 Nissan 350Z with 155,000 original miles on the HR motor. And about 2 years ago I decided it would be a great idea to turbocharge it. But you see, it's not just any old setup. Let me show you. Now please ignore that it's off the ground and also extremely dirty, but I want to show you what's back here, which is a Borg-Warner turbo, and this is currently making 586 wheel horsepower and 428 foot-pounds of torque. Now I'm posting this video because anytime I post about this on social media and a video goes off, there's always a lot of questions on the system, and a lot of them are the same questions I asked before I started this journey. I know I poked a little bit of fun with the skit at the beginning of this video. I don't feel attacked by these people or anything like that. They're just not educated on this system, what it's about, because it's not that familiar. And I want to shed some light on it and just show you guys that it is a viable option. There are some pros, there are some cons, and I just wanted to answer some of the questions that you guys have that are repeated a lot, and I mean a lot. I'm going to go through a list of them now, and I'm going to save the most important one for last, so be sure to stick around and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The first very basic question I got, more than I thought I would, is does it work? It definitely works. Works the same as a regular turbo, there's just a lot of extra piping, basically, to put it very simply. People ask me if it's going to hit everything like potholes, speed bumps, things like that. And as a rule of thumb, I always try to avoid all of those things, but we do live in Connecticut. The roads here are terrible. I'm sure a lot of you guys have terrible roads around where you are at as well. And I am going to admit some very, embarrassing things here, but I have hit some pretty gnarly potholes with no issues. Now it's actually tucked up about 18 inches and I haven't hit anything with it yet, thank goodness. Not saying it's not an issue and something to think about, but I was coming through Hartford one time. I literally hit a pothole that was deeper than any other pothole I've ever hit on any of my other vehicles, and I actually hit the subframe of the car, but it didn't touch the turbo or any of the piping. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. I am not advocating you guys to go willy-nilly and driving over every single bump and speed bump and everything. Don't do that. It's not a good idea no matter what you do. But for me personally, I haven't had any clearance issues, and that includes getting on and off trailers and like into steep inclines, like going into gas stations or people's houses or things like that. So clearance wise, we're good to go. There was also a surprising amount of people that thought that the extra weight was not worth the added performance gains. Now there is extra materials needed. There's more piping, there's a mounting bracket, and the turbo itself is in the back and not in the front. But I mean, if you add a turbo, you're going to be adding a turbo no matter what. So let's just, take that out of the equation. So what you're left with is like another 16 feet of extra piping. How much does that really weigh? 20 pounds, maybe? And they were like, oh yeah, that's not worth the performance. I went from 318 horsepower all the way up to 586 wheel horsepower. If 20 pounds is the price I have to pay for that, I think it's a pretty even trade. Now, I'm certainly not trying to discredit these people. Their head's in the right place. I just think they're overthinking it. There's not that much added extra weight to this system, and the performance gains way outweigh it, for me at least. Another question I get is oil. How do I get oil to the back of the turbo? So I run a Z1 oil pan spacer, which comes pre-tapped 4 oil lines, and I run oil lines all the way back to the turbo and then back to that Z1 spacer. Another main character in that oil system is a scavenge pump that's in the back right next to the turbo. What that does is it circulates the oil from front to back, front to back, front to back. Because there's those long lines, that oil is naturally cooling, and I also run an oil cooler as well, so that is helping keep it efficient, keep things safe, keep temperatures down. That's one of the other pros of a rear mount system. Now, before I get into this last answer, I want you guys to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and thank you to all the new followers. We've grown a ton over the last week, over 1,700 new subscribers, and it's really blowing my mind. My goal is 10,000 subs by the end of this year, and it looks like we might hit that before then, so that would be really cool. So thank you so much, I really appreciate it. On with the next and last question. What about the boost lag, bro? The boost lag, the $1 million question. How laggy is the system? Now, I'm only going to go off my personal experience here, which are pretty rough data points. So don't hold me to this, guys. You know, I'm just a dude in his garage enjoying some boost, and I love it. Rear mount systems have just as much lag as front mount systems. And let me clarify that a little bit. Depending on what turbo you go with, and you have to put a little bit more thought in, and also the diameter of the piping, heat wrap, tuning abilities, and all that, it's all very comparable. In fact, I'm a member of the Boosted VQ Facebook page, and I made a post last year just asking people what your mount is, so front mount, mid mount, rear mount, when do you get your boost? And everybody was getting boost between 3,000 and 4,500 RPMs. Not a huge difference, and even rear mounts were getting there 3,100, 3,200 RPM, and some front mounts were going 35 to 4,000. And a good example of that is my car setup currently. It's got a Borg Warner, which is a dog of a turbo. It's not very efficient, and it gets full boost at 4,500 RPMs, which is about 15 PSI. And you know, that's on the slower side, but it's a very reliable turbo. The last turbo I had was it's actually right here. This is my old Precision 62 turbo that blew its seals and was really smoky, but it got me a full boost at 37 RPM. So you might be wondering, why don't I just get another Precision or just get another smaller turbo? Honestly, I went with the recommendation of the shop I went with, and it's treated me very well because I value reliability over peak performance, and honestly, it's so much fun. I could really care less if I get boost 3 or 4 or 500 RPM later than somebody else. When it comes on, it's a freaking rocket, and I'm smiling the whole time. And that's what cars are all about, guys. I mean, you just have to enjoy it. If you sit there and you debate all the little details, you'll never get anything done. So may as well just pick a direction, go with it, enjoy it. You can always make changes in the future. So that wraps up all of your burning questions. If there's any more burning questions that I missed, drop them in the comments, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you on the next one.